I do want to talk about where the protesters are in all of this, because you and I, when we spoke at the beginning of February, I asked you how we went from talking and advocating for the protesters to sitting down with Iranian officials and hammering out or trying to hammer out a nuclear deal. What are they thinking right now? A, and B, I mean, especially what are they thinking when President Trump said last week a regime change would be the best thing for Iran? Do they feel like the United States has their back here?
Well, the goal of the government of the Islamic Republic, and this has seldom been discussed, one reason why this regime, which is thoroughly anti-American to its core, is still so keen to negotiate with America and President Trump in particular, who again, it has a bounty on his head, is not just in the short term to deter and impede a potential military attack, and not just in the long term to get economic sanctions relief and foreign financial stabilization, but in the medium term, the Islamic Republic knows the biggest threat to its rule comes from an angry, disgruntled, and increasingly protesting population who has a clear, coherent ideology, which is their nationalism against the regime's Islamism. And the regime is trying to dishearten and downplay and render afraid and apathetic this increasingly large swath of anti-regime forces inside Iranian society. And they believe the best way they can do that is whenever there are protests, unfortunately, to use such mass violence that is unprecedented in contemporary Iranian history to literally shoot their way through the crisis. And then B, when the crisis subsides, to negotiate with the very actors that promise support to the Iranian people. So the goal of the regime has been to actually try to dishearten Iranian protesters by engaging with the very forces that promised help and support to the Iranian protesters. Thus, when you have as a split screen the 40th day anniversary of those who were killed in Iran being commemorated in mourning ceremonies and smaller scale political protests at grave sites just the other day in Iran. And then in Geneva, you have negotiations between America and Iran. It's not a good look for America, especially given the mantle of moral leadership and especially given President Trump's numerous promises. So the goal is not how to win the Iranian population. You've already won them over long ago. The goal is how do you not lose the Iranian population? And that's one reason why the regime has been so keen to negotiate, which is to take the wind out of the wings of the Iranian population. And therefore, if there ever is a resumption of hostilities and military conflict, then the regime would not have coterminously a foreign war and a domestic protest at the same time.
I know that you said that you think President Trump is going to keep his word on that month-long open negotiation. What are you specifically looking out for between now and then? Are we just focused on President Trump's Truth Social posts, what he says in press conferences and to the press about Iran? What specifically are you looking out for next?
Well, I'm also still paying attention to the debate in Iran, as well as what Iranian public officials are saying, and also what Iranian social media and what we can get through dribs and drabs of contact with the actual street in Iran are saying. The street, for example, in Iran, all eyes are trained on the skies. The diaspora, as you know, has been massively mobilized across multiple continents, protesting, hopefully trying to get more Western capitals and even Asian capitals involved in a pressure policy against the Islamic Republic and standing with the Iranian people. And then also when it comes to trying to figure out where US and potentially European policy may go, looking at the public statements of these officials as well as, again, their social media accounts, because I think so much indeed is actually being telegraphed quite literally before our eyes.